Welcome to Deep Web3 Secrets. We have got an incredible, exciting guest today who is building on the Lightning Network, and it's Jan Thomasewsky. Jan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Well, today is a great day. I feel like 2025 is the year for Bitcoin and crypto. And I want to touch just a little bit on how we met. We met about 2 years ago when you invited me onto your podcast. Talk to me a little bit about how you got into Bitcoin.
Yeah, that was really funny. So we met at the Crypto Latin Fest 2023, right? So that was
Yes.
in the middle of the year, and at February of that year, I just met Juan Gold. He's a great Bitcoiner, have a lot of followers in Canada and the United States. He also, I think, he's in the an Acapulco podcast and HBO documental. So and he teach me about Bitcoin for a full week, like similar to Matrix, for a full week. So we didn't make the basic things like why Bitcoin is important. We went 100% into Bitcoin nodes, into Bitcoin Lightning, how to make transactions on testnet, like all the technical stuff in 1 week. And at the end of the week, he told me, well, you have two different options. You can um, leave this and do other thing in your life and just forget all the stuff that you heard from me, or you can learn by yourself and be a Bitcoiner or a developer in Bitcoin, anything you want. So I chose to be a Bitcoiner. I started learning about Bitcoin. I just started reading books, and I had a PC with 4 gigabytes of RAM, an Intel Core 2 Duo, so it was really slow. And that was the PC where I played games. So I was like, I want to be a Bitcoiner. I need to leave the games and leave the PC running a Bitcoin node. And I stopped playing games just to be 100% into Bitcoin. And then I just wanted to try to become a Bitcoin educator because education is important. Because the moment when I understand completely about Bitcoin, I was like, why not everybody's talking about this? Like, why I go into the street and nobody's talking about Bitcoin. So I wonder maybe I could start talking about Bitcoin. So I just asked in the Crypto Latin Fest if it was possible to be a speaker. Obviously, it was not possible because I didn't have like a record curriculum that proved that I had a lot of knowledge about Bitcoin. But they give me tickets to go into the event for free. So I remember that I was in the school and my mom just made a permission so I could leave that day to school to go to the event. And I went there. I went there with my friends, and we were like, well, we have a lot of options to do here. Maybe we could learn something. We could do some business. We were literally too young. I was at that moment 16, so like maybe we could do something. And we started asking, well, maybe we can do videos, we can do podcasts, we can, I don't know. I had a friend that was just wondering how to get all the merch, like all the hats and all the good stuff. And I was like, no, we need to do something valuable so I can start participating in these events like a speaker and giving my talks about different things. And I was like, well, maybe if I start doing interviews, this could be a cool way to meet people and to become maybe a kind of influencer. So I remember the first one that I interviewed is the wife of a man that have a candidate candidature to president of United States in 2028, and I interviewed her wife and him. He gave me his book about um the steps to become rich. Really cool book. And I was like, okay, I made those two interviews, and I said, well, this is really cool. I should get more people. And I saw a strange man that I was walking around all the event that is Echo Instant. And I was like, huh, this man is interesting. And all my friends were like, Yeah, he's interesting. So I sent one of my friends. Well, take a look around and see what is that thing of Hive, and tell me what you got. So I've been doing some job in the laptop meanwhile he was taking a look around, and he came back and told me, well, I don't understand. Well, the man is from the United States. I was like, okay, that's valuable at least. So and then I think I approached you because I was we were playing something of mining and the middle of Maloca. That was the place of the event. We were playing something about mining with different different stuff in the floor, and you were there, and you talked to me, and we started talking about what you were doing there, and, and then I told you that I was doing some interviews, and I think I asked you, you want to be in an interview, and you said okay. So we made that interview with a laptop with a ugly camera and with a bad microphone, but at least I have the experience of those first interviews. And we talked the first the half of the interview in Spanish and the other half in English. That was really cool. And we talked about a lot of things, interesting things, and I started to realize more about Hive. You onboard me more on Hive. You created accounts for me and my friends. Also, I found like 2 weeks ago, I was with my friend, and I told him I'm doing a big project on Hive, and he was like, "Ah, yeah, I have my wallet of Hive," and I was like, "You still have?" And he showed me that he's still having his Hive Kitchen account, and the first thing and the only thing that he have in his account is a post with a photo with Echo Instant, and that's the only thing that he have. But sometimes he go into
Amazing.
Hive Kitchen and take a look and pick the what he can discover, and I think, well, you can start doing more posts, you can do videos interesting, you can do a lot of things on Hive. So it's a cool thing that you store your keys for 2 years. So it's for something. Use it. So
I love it, man. Let me jump in here for a second. So, one of the important things, just so people that maybe don't know about Hive, Hive is a decentralized community where we talk about open source technology. You know, we're a group, and there's crazy people. That most of us are rebels, generally in the Bitcoin and crypto space. You know, are people that are a little bit rebellious in their own way. But we started talking more about Bitcoins and technology. And I always felt that Hive and Bitcoin were really a good pair. The technologies connect very well. And we kept talking right after the interview. You came out and you helped me make some videos explaining what is a blockchain, what is a layer two, what is a wallet. And we did some videos. And, how did that, as a podcaster, then being hired, I think I paid you in Bitcoin. How did that expand your experience?
that was really cool because I remember that it was December, and I talked with an uncle that I really really like him, and I was like, Mono, because that's his name. I said, Mono, you want to go with me to the Lebanon? And he was like, I never been there. Let's go. So, because also I needed to go with someone because I was 16. I think my only solo trip on at that age was maybe into Bogota, and it was risky. So my mom were not gonna allow me to go to the Lebanon without someone. So I talked with the mono. We made the trip. That was a bad trip, but was valuable the opportunity there. I remember that we woke up early. We went into the terminal of buses. We took the bus, and the bus started making a lot of stops. Literally out of Bogota, we didn't drive more than 1 hour, and we made the first stop of 30 minutes just because the driver wants to talk with a lady. So we've been in the bus like 30 minutes, stop it, talking about the life. and we made a long trip with a lot of expectations. Our first expectation is that the Lebanon it was going to be like one street, because we take a look on the map, and we said that's a big street. There's no big city around it, and when we get into the Lebanon, we said, okay, this is something big. So we arrived like at 7 p.m. and Echo Instant was there, so he took us to our hotel. And I remember I remember something that was cruel for me, that you told me. I live really near from the hotel, and I was like, okay, maybe tomorrow we are gonna wake up and walk maybe 2 streets, and there's the Echo Instant house. And I remember the other day when we woke up, you came to the house. We started walking to your home, and we saw a mountain, and you told me, you see that mountain? And I said, yes, that's where I live. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I was not gonna to go into that mountain. I was wondering, maybe 2 streets walk. I didn't realize that you live in that big cool mountain, but my expectations was a less of trip. So
Amazing, man. Yes, and so just to put this in context, we tend to travel to the city, Bogota, or even Chicago, any big city, for events where we might talk about technologies. Medellin is another one, just locally here in Colombia. But this idea to travel to a rural area in the middle of the mountains to learn something about technology, I think is very unique. I mean, would you say that this is a kind of a unique thing, that these technologies are not urban or rural? They're actually everywhere.
yeah, yeah. So for us, it was really really interesting, Lebanon and the experience there. Um, Learning about Hive. Mono learned something about Hive, because sometimes he was into your mountain, and sometimes he was with us, looking at us while we said. So it was really valuable. I understand a lot of Hive technical stuff and Hive general stuff, because let's say that it's not 100% different to Bitcoin, but have big differences, big, let's say, maybe improvements, yeah, different things. So I realize how Hive worked with you, because you explain a lot of technical stuff, and we also sometimes, I don't know if you remember, with some words and with some stuff, we just took like a half an hour to think about how to explain it in a good way that everyone can understand. Sometimes we redesign the videos so it can be more understandable. So it was a really cool experience that onboarded me more into Hive. And also was a cool experience going to Lebanon. Me and the Mono want to go again to the Lebanon, because it's a really cool place and it's really really cheap. Like there's no other city in Colombia that is like that cool and that cheap. So I think that was a real valuable experience in technology, in Hive, and in Colombian culture, because that was the first big trip that I made, like, let's say, as a big man, because the only long trip that I made in my life before that one was to Buga, near to Cali. And I was like 10 years old, so that was the first trip. That was a really cool experience. Like, I was thinking maybe this is a good experience, and this is going to be something cool. While I was in the middle of the road, so I didn't expect to participate in all the stuff and do all the stuff that we made. So it was really cool.
Fantastic. And in the end, I paid you in Satoshis. You requested to be paid in Satoshis, and we used the Lightning Network. We used V4V.app. And I know we want to talk about what you're building, the debit cards. on Lightning Network. But let's just touch quickly on v4v.app. We made this video together. I believe it's about 90 seconds about how
Yeah,
to pay in Satoshis my video editor, and that was you. Here you are in the picture. So, was
yeah.
that the culminating experience? Did that help inform your decision to continue to develop the NFC technology that you're working on now?
Well, at that moment, for me was like, okay, this is valuable. If you can go from Hive to Bitcoin, Hive is a good one also. Because if you go and search other cryptocurrencies, for example, Ethereum or other one of those, you can't do that easy as you can do it on Hive. So at that time, it was like, oh my god, I can use Hive, and also I can use Bitcoin, so I can earn money from Hive and send it to Bitcoin. So once I learned about B4B, I started using it after that because I remember I made some blogs about that experience in the Lebanon, and also I made some interviews and in other event then after a few months after the experience in the Lebanon. So at that moment it was like something interesting to take a look on it because it was the perfect way to explain why Hive is valuable and why I should continue to use it. And when I started developing this, that it was started to develop it in Argentina, I was like, okay, maybe I can maybe I can use it because in Argentina there's a big community that is called La Cripta and they have Lightning cards, and I was like, okay, these cards are cool. Why Hive doesn't have these cards, and we can add the B4B technology to pay from Hive or HBD to Lightning. That's the way it should work because it's cheap, it's easy, and you don't need to do a lot of technical stuff, and you can continue being a Bitcoin maximalist with your Hive debit card because you can pay to Lightning, or you can use your Lightning to pay stuff with to HBD or Hive. So B4B has been really important for me because I'm a Bitcoiner, so I already said that a lot of times in posts. Like for me, the three most important and unique crypto that I can use is Bitcoin, Monero, and Hive. And then also something important is that I hate the word crypto, but there's no other way to call this ecosystem. But for me, the most important are Hive, Monero, and Bitcoin. And if I want to be a Bitcoin maximalist, I need a way to continue using Bitcoin. So I can use Hive and use Bitcoin from Hive. So which other crypto can do that without having maybe rapid Bitcoin on Ethereum? That's not Bitcoin, and that's not also something Bitcoin maximalist. So I think B4B is really important. I was really important for this development and also for the, let's say, the future at the moment that we made that video in Lebanon.
Amazing. Yes. And so I've just pulled up from your blog, and it seems you've earned, it says $38. So half of that's yours, about $19, 80 mil pesos. And it's a post about you going to Brazil. So you went to Brazil talking about Hive Debit. Do you just want to tell us a little about that experience?
That was really cool because first of all I was like wondering that I will never go to Brazil. And Starkers just told me, why you don't go to Brazil and talk about High David? And I was like, I'm not gonna say no. So it was really interesting going to Brazil. Uh, I didn't have a lot of expectations because I know that Arlet was going to be like the main speaker, and I had another speech. So I said maybe only technical people is going to come to my speech because the title it was like why to how to develop on Hive and why it's important to do it. So I was like maybe this is not so it's not gonna call a lot of the attention of the people. So
Maybe not so popular.
yeah, I was like it's a technical stuff. I don't know if Brazilian people likes technical stuff. And also I was going to make it in English so everyone can understand it because they have some interest interesting problems with words in Spanish. So the first day of the event, we went there, and it was really cool. I met a guy of 16 years old that is called Italo, and he asked me if I was a YouTuber, and I was like, no, 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 I'm I'm not a YouTuber. I don't know if maybe I'm similar to one, but I have a media enterprise, and I work with Hive. And he asked me what is Hive, and I started explaining with him. I talked with him like more than a half an hour about what is Hive, and I made him an account. I gave him also a Hive debit card, and he was like, "This is real? Like the things that you are telling me, this is real? Like I don't need to pay to give a like?" And I said, "No, you can make a post, and if you make a post right now, I'm gonna give you like, and you can prove that I'm not gonna use my money, and you're gonna receive money for making content." And he was like, "Okay, this is wonderful. I can go with my friends and have account for my friends." And I said, "Yes, for sure. If you have friends, you can start like a mini circular economy and a mini community where you can talk about your stuff, and your friends can go and make like, and you're receiving money from your content, from your talks." Because he also was a really smart guy, because he was a Brazilian guy of 16-year old, and he speaks English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So I said, well, you have a lot of things to say, to have. I know you have a lot of valuable content, so you should use Hive. And well, he needed to leave because he attended to the event as a student, because a lot of students of I think like the local big school of Belo Horizonte went to the event, so he was there and he needed to leave because it was like 2 or 3 p.m. But at least he have now his Hive account. He have a Hive debit account, and he have some friends that already joined and want to join to Hive. So, and that was in the first day. At the second day was my speech. So I said, well, at least I onboarded some people that really understand what Hive is. So I feel that that was important, even if the tomorrow's speech is going wrong or is going bad. I don't know, but I feel like I made something important, onboarding people and onboard the correct and the exact people that I needed. So at the other day, at the next day, I think my speech was like at 12 p.m. And when I was going to give the speech, the room was empty, and I was like, okay, this is not gonna be
Oh
good.
no.
It was like 11:50 of the morning, and I said, well, we have 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, this room needs to be filled. And I was like, nah, I'm sure that I'm just gonna speak to 3 people, and that's it. So I just prepared myself to take a look on what I was going to say. And I was not paying attention of the room. When I go again into the room was completely full. And I was like, oh my god, I don't want to do this. Okay, I didn't expect the room to fall in 3 minutes. So I go into the stage and see all the people that was there, just wondering what is Hive and what is Hive, David. And that was really cool. So I started giving my speech. And I think the most important thing that I said is that I really like and enjoy Hive, because you can say whatever you want, because it's freedom. It's literally freedom. If you go and say something about, I don't know, governments or something on Twitter, you can get banned. Your account could be suspended. But in Hive, you have uh, a big freedom that you don't know that you need, because you think you're free. But when you take a look on the freedom that Hive give you start thinking that you are not so free. You can say whatever you want, and you can do whatever you want in the social media. So I started explaining all this stuff, and I remember that there was a guy of a Bitcoiner guy that have like a share of Plan B network and a lot of Bitcoiner stuff. And I said, okay, this is similar to me. It's a Bitcoiner, and it's an crypto event. Maybe wondering why nobody's talking about Bitcoin. And I said, okay, I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, and I like Bitcoin, Hive, and Monero. I can use Hive, and I can also be a Bitcoin maximalist. Because to be a Bitcoin maximalist, you just need to be using Bitcoin. And in Hive, you can use Hive, use your freedom to talk about whatever you want, that you can't do it on Twitter. And if you do it in Nostr, sometimes you need to pay in Nostr, and you are not getting paid in Nostr. So you can go and say why Bitcoin is important in Hive, and you can get paid for it because Hive is a free market and have a lot of freedom. So you can go there and talk whatever you want. And the man was really interested. He was like, before I said that, the man have a face like, what I'm doing there. And once I said that, the man was really interesting, like literally turn off their phone and start paying attention to what I was saying. And I explained a lot of these things because this is really important. Like all the crypto projects, I'm not gonna say that they are bad, but they talk about money, making money. But why don't we talk about making money, giving freedom, making it cheap, making it easy? So I had a lot of people interested in that speech, and I think that was the first time that I give such a wonderful speech because I feel that a lot of people understand what I was wanting to express, and also in another language, and also um, something that I develop and something that I 100% trust. So that was a really cool experience after the speech. A lot of people came to me asking how they can get a Hive debit card. There was a lot of people that not wanted the card, that wanted to create a Hive account. So for me, that was a really cool experience, and for me, that's a proof that uh, Hive is in the correct or the right way of the crypto avenue. So Brazil was really
Great.
really cool.
Fantastic. Now, I just want to back up a little bit. When I met you in Bogota, in Maloca, in 2023, this crazy young kid reached out to me for an interview, and we talked a little bit in the interview. I met your friends and some
Yeah,
family members, and I thought to myself, this kid could help me because what I was experiencing was, we are bilingual, right? We speak English and Spanish. I was experiencing a lot of really good information in English, but I was having trouble translating it coherently, simply to
yeah,
Spanish to explain to people in Spanish. And these technologies are not limited to what language you speak. So I recognized, I said, I think this podcaster, now I didn't know you had made the podcast to get, what do they call it, periodista passes, journalist
yeah.
passes, which is brilliant, by the way. What a brilliant idea to get into these things. But I invited you out to help make these videos, and we did. We even spent, like you said, a lot of times 10, 20, 30 minutes talking about something. How can we say this in Spanish? How are the different ways to say it in English? What's the best way? There's a couple of terms like staking. There's no words in Spanish. We need to invent new words. Or what's happening now is the anglificación. They just say staking. Toca hacer staking. But really, we're developing the culture, the language in real time. We're bringing this technology to the people. And it was very surprising to see that you did help me. I paid you money. What a great transaction. But to see that you had continued to build your own stuff with these freedom technologies. I don't like crypto either. It's hard to avoid, but I call them freedom technologies. I am in some ways a Bitcoin maximalist, but I don't think Bitcoin is the end of technological development. That's silly. But it is a powerful tool, and we're making it more powerful with Lightning Network and with our Hive, Colmena, with our development in open source, decentralized groups where anyone can say anything. So maybe you just want to conclude for us, but give us How do you see the future of Bitcoin, Hive, Monero, and maybe somebody invents another one? There's a 10,000 shitcoins, and maybe 3 of them are viable, but that's how development works. But how do you see the future of these freedom technologies being developed in maybe any language?
Okay, I will say that for Bitcoin, Bitcoin is just gonna become money. Like Bitcoin was created for that, so Bitcoin is gonna just rise in price, and the people is gonna use it as money, and that's it. Like there's no something more special. Like you can say that Bitcoin is magical, Bitcoin is cool, but Bitcoin is not providing all the stuff that you need. It's like your Bitcoin is something important that the human need, that is the money, but it's not all the important things that we need. So for me, Bitcoin is gonna work forever, and it's just gonna become money. So, but it's the most let's say worth money because it was the first one, and let's say yeah, Bitcoin have a lot of important characteristics to be money, but it's just gonna to be money. We are not gonna have I don't know, free stuff from it. We are not gonna get money talking about Bitcoin. That's why there's not a lot of Bitcoin events, because literally we can't ask Satoshi to give us money for it. So Bitcoin adoption is hard. Eventually, it's gonna happen, but it's money. It's just money, and it's gonna raise in price, and that's it. In Monero, I will say that I'm paying attention to a guy that is called Super Testnet, and he is showing that Monero is not that safe. So I don't know what is happening in Monero because it's private. So I'll say that I don't know. It's 100% safe. So meanwhile, I discovered what Super Testnet, that is a Bitcoin developer, said about Monero security. I'll say that Monero is just gonna work as a private money, because I like Bitcoin because you can see that there's a proof that you made a transaction. But sometimes you want to, I don't know, buy a gun and something that is illegal. You can buy it with Monero, and no one is gonna take a look on it. If you want to stay in the Bitcoiner side, you can use Bitcoin Liquid, but it's not that let's say private. So that's why I support
Yes.
Monero.
I
And
love
in Hive,
let me say
yeah,
something there
sure.
before we go to Hive, because I agree privacy is important, and I just want to say something. It's not always or necessarily about illegal.
Yeah,
it can be legal for me to buy a gun, but maybe I don't want it to be reported. It might be legal for me to pay you to be a video editor, but maybe I want to keep it private. Privacy is a human right. Maybe not
yeah,
every single thing we do, and maybe there's trade offs, right? If I want to be a politician, I no longer have the right to be so private. Okay, things like that. But everything is trade offs. And I do think that privacy is a clear window to say, what did you say? Bitcoin is going to work, but it doesn't provide everything we need. It and
yeah.
these technologies, Monero is a great example, provides another piece, another grain of sand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for me, like that's a triangle. We have Monero, Hive, and Bitcoin. Bitcoin provides you the money, Monero provides you the privacy, and Hive provides you the freedom. It's that easy. But the Bitcoin maximalist people uh, take a look on Bitcoin as the solution of all of our problems. But for example, if you go Bogota, how you gonna solve? I don't know, the privacy of the stuff with Bitcoin. Maybe you can use Bitcoin Liquid, but not all. So if you want to talk about politics in Colombia, that is a big problem. You can do it. That's why we have Hive. So Bitcoin, people needs to stop looking at Bitcoin as Bitcoin can solve all our problems. Bitcoin is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, but Bitcoin is not gonna solve all my problems. Like if my car needs gasoline, I'm not gonna put Bitcoin into my car. Yeah, That's why Bitcoin maximalism is not that right. Like the worst Bitcoin maximalist, the people is using it as the people that thinks that Bitcoin can solve everything, and the real Bitcoin maximalists should be the people that trust that Bitcoin is a good money and they can use it and why they should use it. But right now, the Bitcoin maximalist people thinks that Bitcoin can solve everything, as the examples that I give you. So, and well, in Hive, I think the future of Hive is going to be great. Uh, Basically, first of all, I'm gonna talk from what I see because I'm not 100% into the Hive community. I should be more into the Hive community. Is that first of all, Hive provides you the freedom that not even X provides you. So Elon Musk just get Twitter to give you freedom, but you don't have freedom if I go and say that Elon Musk, I don't know, is a bad guy, is have a ugly face. If Donald Trump is a bad president, I'm sure that I could get banned. And if I say something different, if I say something special, I could get banned or suspended on Twitter. So Hive provides you the freedom. In the 1 year and a half that I've been in the media stuff of Bitcoin, I didn't made 1 cent of all the money that I spent going to events, doing interviews, getting microphones, getting cameras, getting phones. I didn't receive any cent doing all the stuff of Bitcoin in media stuff. That money sometimes is provided by an enterprise, but I'm not gonna recover all the money that I spent doing content for Bitcoin. And if you take that content that is valuable content and put it into Hive, and you're talking about something interesting, you are getting money in Hive. There's nothing like that you can go and post your videos and your articles, things that make you use your money, your resources to produce something. A lot of things are not gonna give you money. Like if you start to make, let's put an example. Let's say that I start talking about the Jeep Cherokee, how the Jeep Cherokee works, and maybe someone have a big community of Jeep Cherokee, uh, and we want to make videos, but we need to start buying, I don't know, gasoline. We need to start buying tools. We need to start buying all this stuff. We are not gonna do it because we need to spend money, and we are 100% sure that we are not gonna get money. Because also there's algorithms on social media like YouTube, like Twitter. So if we start talking about Jeep Cherokees that for the algorithm is not something important, we are not gonna be on the top of the videos, and we are not gonna get money from it. We are gonna lose money, and we are not gonna be on the big screen because the algorithm prefers showing you stupid videos than worth an important uh, content. So for me, in the way that I see, Hive is gonna rise, not in the price, no, in the community and in the people and the projects, in a way that not other crypto has made it. And Hive is not going to be only on let's say on technological things like in virtual stuff. Hive is going to participate on physical stuff. Like for example, with Hive Debit, I think this is one of the first projects that get people using something physical that can fix something. With Bitcoin, you can fix virtual stuff like money. Okay, you can make transactions with virtual Bitcoin. Okay, but what if you can use that technology in the real life? You can use Bitcoin in the real life, but you can use Hive in the real life. It can be applied for the real life. So for me, Hive is gonna be one of the most important technologies, and we as Hive users and a Hive community, we should start getting more and more people that is not even Bitcoin, that is not even crypto. You can go to the corner of your street and go and talk with the man that is in the corner and say, hey, you know that you can get money and start talking about whatever you want. Like I live in Bogota. I live in a place where there's a lot of, let's say, poor people. I don't want to treat them like that, but I don't know the respectful way to say it in English. And they are always talking about politics. So they say, nah, the president is a motherfucker. The president is a bad guy. And if they go and put that on X or Instagram, the first thing of all that is that the algorithm is gonna suspend them. They are not gonna be on the big screen, and maybe they have a big or important argument or important talk that a lot of people should see. For example, if I go Corabastos, that is the big market of Colombia of fruits and vegetables, there are a lot of people, old people, like around 60, 70 years old, like for example, my grandfather, that have a lot of interesting talks about politics, about a lot of different things, but nobody's paying attention to him. Why? Because he don't want to go into social media because he knows that if he go into social media, first there's a lot of people that's gonna say that he is stupid, and the second thing is that he is not gonna be on the big screen because the algorithms put the big stuff that you should see. So Twitter and YouTube and all that stuff decide what you should see about politics, about a lot of stuff that is important, about health, about a lot of stuff. So, and Hive is the opportunity for everyone to come here and give their talks. Like for example, I'm gonna give the example with my grandfather that I took him for a Bitcoin video. He was a lawyer. He worked in the Secret Service of Colombia. He talked in the 90s with a president of Colombia. He have a lot of interesting talks about politics, about economics. We talked a lot of about Bitcoin, and he is 67 years old, I think. We talk about Bitcoin, and I talked with him. There's a social media that is called Hive. You can go on Hive and post that things. You have such great memories. You have such a great talks on how we can solve some problems. And he was like, "No, I don't want to, cause I tried that on Facebook, and I don't. Nobody see that." And I said, okay, but you can say that free on Hive. And there's a lot of examples where I can say that you can be free and you can make content and you can get money making that valuable content that no one can do into normal social media because they will be or losing money or they will be suspended or I don't know. There's a lot of examples why Hive is solving something big, but as Bitcoin, it's not solving everything. But if we mix, as I make Monero, Bitcoin, and Hive, you are getting three important things in life. That is the privacy, the freedom, and the money. So of those three, Bitcoin have been working for more than 10 years. Monero have been working for more than 5 years. Hive been working also more than 5 years. So Bitcoin is not gonna raise more. We are not gonna have cool improvements on Bitcoin. That's it. Monero, that's it. There's not gonna get. We're not gonna have more improvements on Monero. Because also, why you want to improve money? Like, what you want to do in improving money? You want to put your face on Bitcoin. That's it. We don't need to improve more Bitcoin or Monero, but we have a lot of, let's say, way or path to explore how to improve more Hive. Because in Hive you can develop, you can make content, make articles, you can do a lot of stuff on Hive. And if there's nothing that you want to do in Hive, you can go and create it on or say the idea to create it on Hive. So I think that's why Hive is gonna be more and more great because you can do whatever you want. You can um you can you can okay okay, well, the idea is that
I love
you can
listening.
create
I
a
love
lot of
listening
stuff
to
on
you
that.
suffer. Yeah. So just take a second, think about it. I can cover for you.
uh,
So I wanna wrap you up, but I love what you're saying. So let's conclude this, and because we have here Bitcoin, Monero, Hive, money, privacy, freedom, and so really, in a sense, it's a triangle. They depend on each other. So Bitcoin might have been the first piece. We need a sound money, and also privacy is a concern. But I also think that the whole triangle doesn't exist without freedom of speech, freedom of, and speech means so many things, right? So we can kind of just call it freedom in general. Um, but yeah, if you want to conclude this section, And we'll get to the final wrap up, exactly next steps for our projects and stuff. But this has been a really great interview, and I think the things that you're doing to make these concepts simpler in multiple languages is something that we can all do, even if we're not a technical developer. We can help create language that makes and helps people understand freedom, money, privacy, right?
Yep.
I don't know if you want to conclude the last thing you were working on there. If you have a
Yeah,
conclusion, and then I'll ask
yeah.
a final question for you.
The conclusion is that Hive is powerful because you can create whatever you want, you can say whatever you want, and you can participate and earn money from it. So there's nothing like that in the world. So for me, Hive is gonna grow in community, in members, in projects in the next 2 or 3 years because Hive is fast. We have a lot of developers here, and they work fast. For example, one of the big projects that I know is gonna get a lot of people into Hive is BSC and also Hive debit. So Hive, it's like the climate. We have all the scenarios to start growing as a big community. This is the perfect time, and as you said at the beginning, 2025 is the year. So this is the year that Hive is gonna start growing, and we have 2 or 3 years up front to decide how we gonna rise our community and our members.
Amazing. Yes. Okay. So just to kind of wrap up this interview, if I'm a person on YouTube, I found this video. I don't know anything about Bitcoin or Monero or Hive. I've only heard about it on the news. I don't know, but I'm suddenly interested, right? I heard about it 4 years ago maybe, and now this time I'm interested. What do you think would be the first step for somebody who wants to know more about the topics we discussed today? What would be a next step you could give to the listeners?
Well, as Bitcoin educator, the first thing that I always say is that first you need to understand what is the money, what is the government. Because I can explain you what is Bitcoin, Monero, or Hive if you don't understand the problem. So I'm not gonna give you the solution to a problem that you don't understand. So the first of all is understanding which is the problem, and the problem is the money, the governments, the privacy that you don't have, and the freedom that you also don't have. So first of all is that, and then you need to learn. It's a lot of people get into these things, but never learn. Like they just watch a video of 20 minutes and say, okay, I'm an expert, and they can maybe think that they are gonna invest a lot of money and think I got a lot of money, but that's why you should first understand the problem. Because if you think that we are doing all these things just for money, you're gonna be wrong, and you're not gonna understand it, and you're gonna get bored of it, and you're gonna say, no, this is not a good thing, this is not a good stuff, and you're gonna leave it. But you need to understand the problem, and then you need to learn, and then you can use this type of technology. I don't say that this is like a requirement and this is important to do. This is the way that I think you should do it as a newbie into Hive, into Bitcoin, into Monero. You need to understand the problem, you need to learn, and then you should use it. Also, as developer, I think the first thing that I made to don't lose money on Bitcoin was using testnet, and everyone have testnet. If you do it on Hive, you can just ask for some Hive, make some posts, get Hive, and you can do transactions, create another account, you can do transactions, and you can take a look on how it works on Hive. You can have Monero and testnet, and you can run Monero and see how it works. You can have Bitcoin testnet, and you can use Bitcoin testnet and figure out
Okay.
how this thing works.
Amazing point here. Sorry to interrupt the conclusion, but like this is such a good point. When I met you, you were a 16-year-old kid. You needed your mom's permission to come visit
Yeah.
me. And you were developing on blockchains, and you used this technique of looking for test nets. Maybe just spend 1 minute emphasizing the importance of test nets.
Well, basically, if you don't have testnet, you don't have nothing. If you can't try to make development or make improvements and you don't have testnet, you can do everything. Also, for example, if I want to test something on Bitcoin, let's say one of the operations, maybe up return or up cat, if I don't have Bitcoin, I can't try to use it. I need Bitcoin. So if you understand how to use testnet, you can run your own code and try to figure out how to improve it, how to modify it, or you can try to use the different options or options that you could run or deploy on Bitcoin or Monero or Hive. So using testnet for me as developer and as a normal person, let's say, it's really important. If you don't understand like how to make a transaction and why you make a transaction, you're not gonna understand anything. If I told you you need to do a transaction from your account to my account in Bitcoin on chain, the first thing that you're gonna say, okay, and how much is? You need to send me $10 and pay the fee, and let's say we need to wait like 70 minutes. So it's cheap to use Bitcoin. When you don't want to pay fee as a new user because you don't understand why you need to pay fee, and you don't want to wait all the time. But if you have, for example, a Bitcoin testnet or a rec test, that is the one that you can run locally from zero, you can understand 100% how a transaction works if you want to try to figure out your personal thoughts, like why we have this number here. What happens if I change that number from 1 to 0? Okay, something happens. You can discover it because the human wants to discover things by himself. That's the thing that I made. I just download the Bitcoin testnet and I started, okay, what happens if I change this one? Okay, crash it. Okay, I'm not gonna do that again. So you can start discovering how the different projects work with testnet. So in Hive, I didn't use it, never testnet on Hive because all the development that I made on Hive, I made it in the, let's say, in the main chain, in the mainnet. Because you don't need to pay a fee. So I was like, I can take two hives and make a lot of transactions without paying fees. So it's cool. And in Monero, I didn't use also testnet, but I'm not like 100% user of Monero. But as normal, as I said to you, as a normal person and as a developer, it's really important to understand why that number is in your transaction, why there's an identifier on your transaction, why you can find a link and all that stuff. It's better if you can understand it and you are not paying fees, you are not wasting time, you are not losing money if you make something wrong on the main chain. So doesn't is everything.
Fantastic. I'm not even sure what the title of this episode will be, but I think the conclusion is, John, can I have you back on in a month and we talk again about all these cool developments that are happening in the freedom technology space?
Yeah, for sure. We should, and also before the show ends, we should talk about Hive David before the community start getting angry about
Fantastic.
how
Okay,
Hive David works.
two things I want to say before we end. Because we talked, at least for me, I feel good about what we talked about Hive Debit, but I know we did not get into too many specifics. So maybe we do want to touch on that a little bit, but almost this episode was so good, almost we could schedule another one to just deep dive the Hive Debit. But before we go, I would love for you to just spam your links, man. You know, whatever you want people to click on, share them right now. And, you know, maybe just give us the 3-minute version of what you're building, and then we can link to a future episode. Maybe next week, maybe in 2 weeks, we'll get together and we'll just do a deep dive just on what you're building. What do you think?
Yeah, that's cool. So, basically, I know a lot of people didn't see all the videos that we made with the starters in El Salvador. But we created something that is called Hive Debit. The first name was BPay, but we changed the name. It's a way where you can take an NFC card and pay with Hive HBD or Bitcoin Lightning using just an NFC card. So in the proof of concept, the way that worked was taking the active key or of a created account that you can find it in Hive. That is Hive David 1 to 15. I think we created 15 accounts, and also for the modular carnival we created Hive Carnival 1 to 20 accounts. And we just took the active key, encrypted it, and put it into the card. So every single time that you tap it in the system takes the active key and makes the transaction. Obviously, this was the proof of concept. So it was, let's say, a safe way to do it, and a quick way to develop it and to show that this works. So for the, let's say, the real version of Hive David, we are going to create something really big to manage all the thing in a safe way that you can trust that this is going to be safe, that we don't store your keys, that I can't steal your money because I won't steal your money. And why this is cool and why you should use it, that is also important. It's important to know that this is going to be safe, this is going to be cool, this is going to be cheap, and that you can use it easily, and you should use it. So the, let's say, the similar project to this one is the Bolt cards on Lightning. That if someone doesn't know what those are, literally NFC cards, but just for Lightning payments. And what I'm doing, or what we're doing with the Starkers and Antical Milan, is basically creating a better system that where you can use your Hive or HBD to pay directly to those stores, for example, in El Salvador that accept Bitcoin with point of sale. In the point of sale of El Salvador, you can go with your Lightning card and tap. The idea with Hive Debit is that you can earn money from Hive, earn HBD, put it into the card, and go tap Lightning business, or we can onboard that we have a lot of business accepting Hive and HBD. You can see it in on this trader that also want cards. You'll be paid with the card. You are not going to use your phone. That for me, it's important that you don't use your phone because I'm Latin American, so you know that if you took your phone out of your pocket, you're going to get sealed. So you can use your card and you can pay all the stuff that you want. Also, we are going to add distributor, so every single time that you pay with the card in business that accept those types of cards, you will be getting a discount from distributor. So, and also, I'm working
Hey,
in the technical. Tell me.
yeah, sorry. Here's the thing, and I just for anyone listening to this podcast, you have just gone off the deep end on technical Hive details. So what I think I understand is that one, we should do a deep dive episode for all of those nerdy Hive people. We need it. We need it, and we love it. So let's do that. Let's plan that out. Two, it sounds like you're making payments on Lightning, tap to pay, point of sale, and not only Lightning Network, because I think it's built on Lightning Network, but not only Lightning Network, but also other tokens that are integrated into Lightning, such as Hive and HBD. Is that right?
Yeah, no, the main one is to use Hive and HBD to pay with the card. Lightning is also part of the card, but the focus is to be possible the payments through NFC from HBD or from Hive. And also you can pay with Lightning using your Hive or HBD that you have without needing to swap it. Because if you want to use it, normally you should swap it and have it into the card. But with Hive David, with the Hive or HBD that you have, you can go to a Lightning business, tap, and you pay Lightning.
Okay, so this is perfect and gives us exactly what we need for the next episode. We have Vault Cash on Lightning, and we want to talk about why Hive debit is better. And we also have some technical details. And you'll be releasing a technical document this week, is that right?
Today, the idea is today, where I explain how we're gonna save the funds, because I think that's the question that a lot of people make me, is how we're gonna store like the keys if I'm gonna steal the money. So today, I'm gonna release the technical article where I explain how I'm gonna make Hive Debit, which is the security that I'm gonna put into the cards, and how you can use it, how we are gonna integrate Lightning Network. If you can use it on iPhone, because right now you can't use it on iPhone. And there's a lot of technical stuff that you can read, and you can also ask in that article if you don't understand anything, or if you want something to get improved, or if you have any other idea to add into Hive Debit.
Fantastic. Well, I'm just going to wrap this up then. Let's get in touch for another interview. We need the deep dive for the Hive people, and that'll be great. You release that, and maybe we can even record sooner than next month, and we can deep dive into your technical protocol. Jan Thomasewsky was so motivated by Bitcoin that he has built a point-of-sale protocol. This is freedom technology. This is open source. And this has been Deep Web 3 Secrets.